Katare Ashtotra Sutta Shri Srimad Abhayachanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Bol All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to Sri Guru Sri Gauranga All glories to Srila Prabhupada Om Shri Krishna 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 Namo Vishnu Namo Vishnu Padaya Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachari विशेष शून्यवाद पास जाति देश जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, Text 8. Yasya vācā prajāḥ sarvāḥ gāvaḥ tantyā yantritāḥ haranti balim āyattās tasmai mukhyāya te namaḥ yasya vācā prajāḥ sarvā yasya vācā prajāḥ sarvā gāvas tantyeva yantritāḥ haranti balim āyattās tasmai mukhyāya te namaḥ yasya vācā prajāḥ sarvā gāvas tantyeva yantritāḥ haranti balim āyattās tasmai mukhyāya te namaḥ yasya vācā prajāḥ sarvā gāvas tantyeva yantritāḥ haranti balim āyattās tasmai mukhyāya te namaḥ yasya of whom vācā by the Vedic directions prajāḥ living entities sarvāḥ all gāvaḥ tantyā by rope eva as yantritāḥ directed haranti offer take away balim presentation ingredients for worship āyattāḥ control tasmai unto him mukhyāya unto the chief person unto you namaḥ respectful obeisances translation purport His Divine Grace Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada all the living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic directions as a bowl is directed by a rope attached to its nose. No one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literatures. To the chief person who has contributed the Vedas, we offer our respect. Purport. The Vedic literatures are the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot violate the injunctions given in the Vedic literatures any more than one can violate the state laws. Any living creature who wants real benefit in life must act according to the direction of the Vedic literature. The conditioned souls who have come to this material world for material sense gratification are regulated by the injunctions of the Vedic literature. Sense gratification is just like salt. One cannot take too much or too little. One must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. Those conditioned souls who have come to this material world should utilize their senses according to the direction of the Vedic literature. Otherwise, they will be put into a more miserable condition of life. No human being or demigod can enact laws like those of the Vedic literature because the Vedic regulations are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaḥ Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yasya Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagamalitha Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaḥ Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yasya vācā prajāḥ sarvā gāvas tantyeva yantritāḥ haranti balim āyattās tasmai mukhyāya namaḥ. All living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic directions, just as a bull is directed by the rope attached to its nose. No one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literatures. To the chief person who has contributed the Vedas, we offer our respect. So, here, the example, this is continuing the glorification of Lord Brahma by the demigods who are terrified by the darkness that is enveloping the universe, the ignorance that is spread, and due to the birth, which they are unaware of, due to the birth of the two demons, or not the birth, but just the fact that they have occupied the womb of Diti, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So here the example is given that just as a bull is directed by a rope attached to its nose, all living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic directions. And it's interesting, getting into a little side subject matter here. If you look at the translation, it says gāvah tantyā iva yantritāḥ. That gāvah tantyā, that the bulls are directed by a rope. There's not really the mention of a nose in the verse itself. But Prabhupada is mentioning nose. Now it's a side subject matter because it's a topic of big debate among certain sections that for cow protection, that one shouldn't pierce the nose of a bull. It's violence, and the bull has to only be directed by a rope tied to its neck and not to its nose. But here Prabhupada, in the translation, he inserts the word nose attached to its nose. It seems that while you can, if you're very expert, direct a bull with the neck, the bull and oxen especially, they're better directed through the nose, because otherwise they can become quite unruly. And the neck, they're very strong animals, and the nose helps control them a little bit more. Here, in that sense, Srila Prabhupada's translation seems very apt. Because when a bull doesn't listen to its master when the rope's tied through the nose, what happens?
Pull.
You get pulled. What happens?
Pain.
Pain. You get pain on the neck. This is such a huge neck. You didn't pull it, it won't feel anything. It'll pull you away. This is how strong these bulls are. Bulls are huge creatures. When you have especially an uncastrated bull, they are massive, so muscular. Talk about, protein. Wow. Whew. They are really huge creatures. From this you can also understand that the source of the bull's muscles isn't protein and isn't all of that kind of stuff. It's what? Grass. No. The oxen also takes the same grass. Cow also takes the same grass. Why not like that? Come on. Obvious, no?
When it grows up, it drinks the cow milk?
All of them drink the cow milk. I'm talking about a bull and an oxen.
Work.
No.
What's the difference you're saying?
Testosterone.
Yes.
Oh.
The testosterone. And therefore, you see those who are more, what does that also mean is that the less sexually active one is, this is a very generalization, but Vedic culture likes to emphasize control of sex desire. And Prabhupada says the difference between the milk drinker's beauty and the meat eater's beauty. The meat eaters, they have a lot of that, testosterone and a lot of sexual urge, because that's what meat does to you. It gives you a lot of sexual urge. And yes, there's genetics, of course, because you have different species of cows also, and they obviously grow to different levels. But the point is, within that, you will see the difference. The testosterone really is what leads to that kind of, extreme strength in terms of muscular buildup. Anyways, the point is that when it's through the nose, the living entities are conducted by Vedic directions, which means when they don't follow, you're going to get pain. You're going to suffer. That's the point. Because the bull that doesn't follow the directions of its master is going to suffer. And it's going to feel that suffering. And what does it eventually do? It sort of, through that suffering, the bull thinks that it can do whatever it wants. The bull is never allowed to do what it wants. The bull is under the master, who is the caretaker of the bull, to protect the man who is protecting the bull. But it's not that the bull can do anything it wants to do. No, there are certain regulations with which that bull has to, and if it's not, it's going to be punished. It's going to be, it's a very apt example here, because the bull is protected, he is respected, and when he follows the injunctions of the master, he becomes useful. Otherwise, he's useless, he's violent, he is dangerous, and he's neither good for himself nor is he good for anybody else. But when the bull follows the injunctions of the master, the bull becomes useful, and the master becomes happy, and the bull doesn't suffer as much, suffers less. Therefore, no one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literatures, and then they offer their respect to Brahma, who is the chief person who has contributed to the Vedas. In our case, we offer our respect to Srila Prabhupada, who has given us all these wonderful literatures, by whose mercy we have the Vedas and its corollaries, and the essence of the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. So, Prabhupada says here that any living creature who wants real benefit in life must act according to the direction of the Vedic literature. Now, going to famous Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 16. Huh? Oh, that's a good guess. But pravrittim cha nivrittim cha chanana vidurasuraha. That's a perfect verse also. Yash shastra vidim utsrijya vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. That one who rejects the scriptures, yash shastra vidim utsrijya kamakarataha, he engages in kamakarataha, which means engages in activities that he desires to do, just sense gratification, kamakarataha, driven by sense gratification. Nasa siddhim, he doesn't get siddhim, he doesn't get perfection. Nasa siddhim avapnoti, na sukham, he doesn't get happiness. Na param gatim, he doesn't get param gatim also, he doesn't get the ultimate destination. Now, Krishna, while describing the demons' characters, he says, Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidurasuraha na saucham napi chacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. And Prabhupada, in the purport, makes it very clear. He says, especially among Aryans, those who adopt the Vedic civilization and those who are known as the most advanced civilized peoples, those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions are supposed to be demons. He says, among the Aryans, those who do not follow scriptural injunctions are supposed to be known as demons. Therefore, it is stated here that demons do not know the scriptural rules, nor do they have any inclination to follow them. And then he continues, they have no faith, nor are they willing to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions. The demons are not clean, either externally or internally. And Prabhupada says, as for behavior, there are many rules and regulations guiding human behavior, such as the Manu Samhita, which is the law of the human race. Even up to today, those who are Hindu follow the Manu Samhita. Laws of inheritance and other legalities are derived from this book. Now in the Manu Samhita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. That does not mean that a woman is treated like a slave, but that they are like children. Children are not meant to be given freedom, but that does not mean that they are kept as slaves. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this does not improve the social condition of the world. Anyways, Prabhupada goes on, but he says finally, this is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. So the point is that Prabhupada in his Bhagavad Gita purport makes it very clear that those who are humans have to follow Manu Samhita. Why Manu Samhita? Why Manu Samhita? Because Manu Samhita is the direction that has been given by Manu, who is the father of mankind. Actually, this word is very interesting to note. This word Manu, the word Manushya, comes from the word Manu. Manushya, Manava, these are all terms for humans. And they come from Manu. But you can also understand where the word man comes from. It comes from the same word. It comes from the same Manu, comes into man. It's another thing. You can find like this lot of Sanskrit. The word dhyana gets converted into Chinese as chan. So dhyan. So dhyana becomes dhyan in Hindi, which then when it crosses over Tibet, it becomes chan. Then when it goes over to Korea, it becomes Siam. And then when it crosses over the sea and goes to Japan, it becomes
Ki?
No.
Chi?
No. Zen.
Zen.
No.
So what is Zen? Nothing but dhyana. Dhyana avastita tad gatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. So this is the point, that the Vedic culture, as you can see, it's the same thing. The word Zen actually comes from the word dhyana. And dhyana actually is meant for worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the same way, Manu Samhita, Prabhupada actually in another conversation states that Professor Kotovsky told him that the Manu Samhita was translated into Russian. And Prabhupada said, yes, see, Manu Samhita is actually meant for the whole of human society. Now, in the same canto that we are reading, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 12. So this is a little bit for the appearance of Lord Varaha. Prabhupada writes that similarly, all other kings on different planets of the universe are representatives of Manu. The law book for the entire human society is the Manu Samhita, which directs all activities towards the transcendental service of the Lord. This is an important point to note, that Manu Samhita directs all activities towards the transcendental service of the Lord. Now, when we say Vedic injunctions, these Vedic injunctions are, what are they? What are the scriptural injunctions, Vedic injunctions? They refer to the varnashrama dharma. The varnashrama dharma, the different 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, you have all these different duties. Where is that all listed? Manu-samhita. Manu-samhita is the dharma shastra. You have dharma shastra, so varnashrama dharma, that dharma is to be executed by human beings, and that dharma is given by Manu. So therefore, but then Prabhupada makes it very clear. The law book for the entire human society is Manu-samhita, which directs all activities towards the transcendental service of the Lord. So the Manu-samhita actually directs one to transcendental service. It's an amazing point that Srila Prabhupada makes. It's because right now, today in today's society, many devotees argue that Manu-samhita is supposed to be neglected. And we'll get to that. Because it can get confusing. For instance, when we have the story of Ajamil, right? What happens in the beginning of the 6th canto? Parikshit Maharaj is disturbed. Why is he disturbed?
Well, because the description of the hellish planets.
Yeah, so the description of the hellish planets, and he's thinking, how can the conditioned souls be delivered? And what does Shukadeva Goswami initially reply to Parikshit? He says, there's Manu-samhita. This is literally what he says here. He says that in 617, Shukadeva Goswami replied, my dear king, if before one's next death, if whatever impious acts one has performed in this life with his mind, words and body are not counteracted through proper atonement, according to the description of the Manu-samhita and other dharma shastras, one will certainly enter the hellish planets after death and undergo terrible suffering, as I have previously described to you. So, the point is that Shukadeva Goswami is making the point that, people commit sins. What they should do? Dharma Shastras, Manu-samhita is saying there, they should atone for those sins through prajāḥ, and they should overcome those sins. And it's interesting because Parikshit Maharaj is not interested in this. Because later he says, Kunjaravat iva sauchaha. That is, that, I think I'm messing up the Sanskrit there. But he says, Parikshit Maharaj says, okay, so these people, they commit sinful activity, then they atone to the Dharma Shastra, and then they again commit sinful activity. This is like an elephant bathing. When will they actually reform? How can they be reformed? So, he wasn't satisfied with this answer. And then, Shukadeva Goswami reveals the glories of the holy name of the Lord and then speaks the story of Ajamil. So, there, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport specifically, he says that Shukadeva Goswami, his guru, could have immediately explained the principle of bhakti, but to test Parikshit Maharaj's intelligence, he first prescribed atonement according to the Karma Kanda, the path of fruitive activities. For Karma Kanda, there are 80 authorized scriptures, such as Manu-samhita, which are known as Dharma Shastras. In these scriptures, one is advised to counteract the sinful acts by performing other types of fruitive action. This was the path first recommended by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. And actually it is a fact that one who does not take to devotional service must follow the decision of these scriptures by performing pious acts to counteract his impious acts. This is known as atonement. So from this one can conclude, okay, one who does not take to devotional service needs to follow the decision of the scriptures. But what decision? What decision?
Follow our Dharma.
Now that's okay. But what are we specifically subject here that is being discussed by Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami?
Oh, atonement.
Atonement. That they follow the script. Those who do not take devotional service have to follow the instructions of atonement in the Manu-samhita. Not that the entire Manu-samhita is rejected. Manu-samhita tells you what is sinful, what is not sinful. That you don't reject. How does that change? How does that change? So just because you become a devotee, that which is sinful is no longer sinful anymore? So that is the point. That this is where devotees get mixed up. They read this and they say, see, they only need to follow the decision of scripture, reject the whole scripture altogether. No. You reject the atonement part. That is atonement, if you said a lie, go and, whatever, I don't know, go fast for 3 days, or if you cheated your guru, take hot ghee, drink it, and commit suicide, and all this kind of atonements are there in the Manu Samhita. And the karma kandiyas, they are very eager to perform these things. And the example that's even found in Kali Yuga is that Shankaracharya wanted to debate with one of these karma kandis, these karma mimamsas. That's what they call karma kandiyas, karma mimamsas. And he went to argue with one of them, but that guy was basically killing himself because he had gone in order to defeat the Buddhists, because the Buddhists reject the Vedas. The karma kandiyas don't reject the Vedas. I'm getting a little side topic here, side story, but they were so vehement that they needed to prove the authority of the Vedas. And so he goes and studies under a Buddhist teacher in order to dissect Buddhism and defeat Buddhism. But in due course, he cheated his guru by telling him that he was actually a Buddhist when he was not a Buddhist. That he didn't actually reject the Vedas, because the main core tenet of Buddha is to reject the Vedas. And so in that sense, he had cheated his guru. He achieved his task, but in order to atone for the sin of cheating his guru, can you believe that? See, you would think that, oh, this is no guru, because he's a Buddhist, he's an atheist, so how can he be a guru? No. Anybody who gives you knowledge, he's guru. Material or spiritual. Now there are different levels of guru, but he is nevertheless a guru. So, therefore, actually in Vedic culture, you respect anybody who gives you knowledge. Even if he just teaches you an instrument. He's a guru. It may seem like, yeah, but it's teaching you some knowledge that you don't know. And it's understood that the best way to receive knowledge is to be submissive, because then you will actually receive it fully. There is potency in this, because that's the Vedic process. And so this karma kandiya, I forgot his name. I think he was some Mishra. Anyways, I can't remember. I think it's Mishra. But anyways, he's there, and he's covered himself with, I think, burning husk or something. I don't know exactly, but he's buried himself, and basically he's getting cooked to death. This is what's happening. He's slowly getting cooked to death, and he's tolerating that whole thing because he's atoning for this sin, so that he can go to the heavenly planet. Otherwise, he can't go. So that's the whole point. So Shankaracharya comes and he says, he explains the whole story, and he says, I have a disciple, you go debate with him. So then Shankaracharya goes to his disciple, Adi Shankara. So anyways, the point is, we don't do those kind of things. We don't atone in that way. We atone by chanting the holy name, performing devotional service, because this alone is satisfactory. We are not expected to atone in such kind of ways. We are expected to atone for our sinful nature by repenting, genuinely repenting, and by further engaging more in devotional service. Sometimes when devotees say, Prabhu, we go to Guru Maharaj, they say, Maharaj, I'm so fallen, and I don't know, I'm still so attracted to sense gratification and this and that. What should I do? Maharaj, what more do you expect me to tell you? Do you expect me to tell you? There's in a recent lecture, he said, when you go to Radha Kund, sit there and fast for so many days and just chant 192 rounds every day, and all this, sell everything, and all this. No, just chant Hare Krishna, follow the 4 regulative principles, read Prabhupada's books. This is sufficient. But those who are attached to karma kanda, they look down on this. This is such simple, but this is all you have. All you guys do is just get up and sing and dance, and this is supposed to lead you back to this is, because they're used to performing so much rituals and so much it looks so simple. It looks so what you could call it looks so rudimentary. And this is just for, okay, it's good. It's process that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, because all the mlechas and the yavanas, we are the Brahmins, and we have to do all these different sacrifices and waste our time, and in useless things and so for us, say, yes, oh very good, you chant Hare. For you, chant Hare Krishna, very good. But for me, what's Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna for your face, for just to be polite to you, I will also say Hare Krishna. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you chant Hare Krishna so that someday you will come to my plan. As the, the disciples who went to the Radharaman Mandir, they were told by their pujari there, that, oh, you practice Krishna consciousness very nicely, and this and that, so that in your next birth, you can be born and become pujari of Radharaman. And they went and told that to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, you go and tell them back, that ask them to perform devotional service and deity worship very nicely to Radharaman, so that someday they may get born as one of the children in our Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada said that. So people have that sort of like conception. So Prabhupada says here, regarding, anyways, let's skip that. In his, in 6.141, I just pulled it out. Prabhupada says, Dharma, actually this is 6.141, is the Prabhupada says there that Dharma is not actually manufactured by Narayana. As stated in the Vedas, asya mahatva bhutasya nishvasitam etad yad rig veda itihi. The injunctions of Dharma emanate from the breathing of Narayana, the supreme living entity. Narayana exists eternally and breathes eternally, and therefore Dharma, the injunctions of Narayana, also exist eternally. Because Narayana didn't create Dharma. He didn't manufacture, because if he created it, what does that mean? It will be destroyed. So Narayana didn't create Dharma. The three modes of material nature, they are created. Therefore, there is an end to the influence of the three modes of material nature. Otherwise, the three modes of material nature would be eternal. Right? But it's created. It's therefore we can come out of the three modes of Traigunya, Vishnu, Nistraigunya, Bhavarja. It's possible. But Dharma, you can actually never come out of Dharma. So, because it exists eternally along with Narayana. Srila Madhvacharya, the original Acharya, for those who belong in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, says, Vedana pratamo vakta harir eva yato vibhu ato vishnvatmaka veda ityahur veda vadinaha. The transcendental words of the Vedas emanated from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Vedic principles should be understood to be Vaishnava principles, because Vishnu is the origin of the Vedas. The Vedas contain nothing besides instructions of Vishnu, and one who follows the Vedic principles is a Vaishnava. This is so clear. A Vaishnava, the Vaishnava is not a member of a manufactured community of this material world. A Vaishnava is the real knower of Vedas, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Veda is to sarvā aham eva vedyaha. So Prabhupada says here, Vedic principles are to be understood as Vaishnava principles. Vedas contain nothing but instructions of Vishnu, and one who follows the Vedic principles is a Vaishnava. Cannot be more clear. And that's what the subject matter of today's verse is. That nobody is free of these Vedic injunctions. And even the Vaishnava means he follows them. He follows these Vedic injunctions. So, then how to understand? So, look at this. There's a beautiful verse in chapter 3. Yastvatma ratireva syat atmatruptascha manavaha atmanyeva sasantushta tasya karyam na vidyate. So this is Bhagavad Gita 3:17. Let me pull it up. So the verse, it's a very beautiful verse. For one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So, Prabhupada makes the point that a person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. And there, Prabhupada says, His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements such as wine, women, and similar infatuations. So, the point here is that yes, it is possible for somebody to be above such Vedic injunctions. But what is that? What is that qualification? Prabhupada begins the purpose. One who's fully Krishna conscious, fully satisfied by acts in Krishna consciousness. What is the test of that? Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities. Okay, I'm not interested in material activities. We can say that. So you can say, for instance, the devotees in the temple also, they are not interested in material activities. Therefore, they have joined full time. So therefore, no need to follow Vedic injunction. No, Prabhupada says another point. No longer takes pleasure in material arrangements. This is a tough one. That's a tough one. Like wine, woman, and similar infatuations. Similar infatuations literally includes every infatuation that one can think of under the sun. And that's a tough one. Because, we take pleasure in material arrangements. We still take pleasure in material arrangements. And for instance, we might get attracted to some material object. We might get attracted to some material thing pertaining to our own bodies. Some new fad or something like this, whatever that might be. Or we become attracted to the wealth or women outside, or so many things are there. So therefore we are not fully Krishna conscious. So what does that mean? We have to follow the Vedic injunctions because it helps us to become Krishna conscious. What do you follow the Vedic injunctions? To understand what should be done, what is not to be done. Pravritimcha, nivirtimcha. You don't follow the atonement there. The atonement is we don't atone. We are trying to reform. We are not just atoning. Atonement is automatically happening by the chanting of the holy name. But what we are interested in is not atoning. Therefore, there is an offense. One of the offenses of the holy name of the Lord is namno balad yasya hi papa buddhir na vidyate tasya yamair hi shuddhi. That one who chants the holy name with the intention to eradicate sins, he never attains love of God. Because he is using the holy name just to atone. We are not interested in that. That doesn't mean that we will go on committing sinful activities. No. Therefore, that you don't commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. I will chant the holy name, I will commit sinful activities and I will chant the holy name, I will atone myself. This is karma kanda philosophy. Karma kandis think it's impossible to not perform sinful activity because we want to enjoy. So you try to avoid sinful activity as much as you can, but there will be some sinful activity. The main thing is to enjoy, and you commit. You do the atonement. That's all. Why you're stressing out? Do your atonement. You go to the heavenly planets, and then you keep continuing this process. You can stay in the heavenly planets. Even if the universe is destroyed, what's the problem? When it comes back, you can go back there. If you slip a little bit, at least be born as a Brahmin, so that you can make sure that you go back up there. This is their philosophy. It's like, what do you need more than this? So, that we don't do. Our intention of chanting the holy name, our intention of performing devotional service is to reform our attitude. It's not just to, then we are actually striving for pure devotional service. Otherwise, we are not striving for pure devotional service. We have to have the desire. I'm going to reform someday. I have to work towards becoming a pure devotee. It's something that I need to do and I want to do. And this should be our feeling. Then in order to understand that we should know what is sin and what is not sin, how one should behave, one should not behave, and we need the more we follow the Vedic injunctions, the more we situate ourselves in a safe position of a pious life. And in that pious life, our mind becomes calm, our intelligence, all the gates of our body are illuminated with knowledge. And then it becomes easier to think of Krishna, practice Krishna consciousness. We won't commit offenses, and we won't be attracted by gross sinful activity and these kind of things. And by nature also you will understand how you can get more and more mercy. The people and those who are smart, they know how to get mercy in Vedic culture, because as you get mercy, you make advancement quickly. But to understand that, you have to have some level of wanting to, like it's just said, like for instance, this karma kandis, they're so eager that, okay, the guru is there, the guru has a position, and they respect the person just because he's in that position, because that position has a certain authority that's vested. And the difference between the karma kandis and the Vaishnavas is both of them respect the position, but what is the difference?
One doesn't want to replace.
No. Neither want to replace. Because if you want to replace, then you go to hell. Your guru is always your guru and always respectable. You never replace that position. But what is the difference? What is the difference in the attitude?
The karmakandi serves the guru to ultimately facilitate their own sense gratification.
And
the Vaishnava doesn't.
What is the Vaishnava want?
And Guru's pleasure.
The pleasure of the guru. Who's the representative of Krishna?
He wants to, representative of Krishna. And then why does he respect the guru?
Because he's representative.
Because he's representative of Krishna. That he sees that anybody, Prabhupada also made this point, anybody who has position of authority, the king, he's representative of Krishna. Why? Because it's by Krishna's mercy that he has become the king. Anybody who's in any position must be respected because they've got that position by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The wife must respect the husband. Why? Because the husband has a position. He didn't just, it's not like some, we have to understand Krishna is actually in control of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, sarvā karana. Nobody is placed anywhere randomly for no reason. Everybody has their role to play, and a Vaishnava respects that. And when he respects that, he actually becomes Krishna conscious by respecting that and showing the respect. It's not that he loses his intelligence. The Vaishnava should understand, and therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur also prays that let me respect the devotees according to their level. So it means that you have different devotees, but you have to show respect. And Acharya explained, Kanishta Adhikari, you offer respect with your mind. Those who are equal, those who are lower, you offer respect to the mind. With those who are equal, what do?
Make friends.
You make friends and you show affection, and this is how you respect the devotee. And those who are senior, what do? You serve them. So that kind of but the whole point, see, ultimately, but if you see all three of them, you are respecting nevertheless. You are respecting nevertheless. Why? Because there's a potency there. And that potency is a manifestation of Krishna. And by thinking of like that, we become Krishna conscious. Okay? And by doing this, we also develop humility. So this is all these things. Therefore, the Manu Samhita directs one, as we just read, that Manu Samhita directs one to transcendental service. You develop that service attitude. Transcendental service attitude you develop by understanding. Otherwise, we stuck Ishwaroham, Aham Bhogi, Siddhoham, Balavan Sukhi, this demoniac attitude, everything is self-centered. And that self-centered attitude will never leave us. And then it's impossible to go to the spiritual world with that kind of attitude, because the devotees in the spiritual world are not like that. So, in conclusion, the pure devotee doesn't have to follow Vedic injunctions, doesn't have to follow Manu Samhita, because he's above that. For him, those Vedic injunctions, he's already connected directly to Krishna, and therefore he's not going to do anything that's displeasing to Krishna. But for those who are not connected, we understand Krishna through the Vedic scriptures, and we understand how to behave through those Vedic injunctions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions or comments?
It's interesting that I mean, I guess it does sound almost like backwards that in order to atone, you have to go through all this like great austerity. Whereas, and not that there's not austerity, of course, in like devotional service, but it might externally seem like it's just a lot easier, I guess, than taking to all these different, I guess, activities in order to not rectify one's character, but just atone just for that single act without actually going about, changing the nature that led to it. So I guess, anyways, the question I wanted to ask on top of that was that whole conception of just, you atone so you can go up to the heavenly planets, and then you deplete your pious credits, and then don't fall too low so you can just get some more and go back up, and just kind of just rotating in the cycle of birth and death. I mean, it's said in the Gita that, those who worship the demigods, their faith is in the mode of passion, but that seems just like it's complete ignorance ultimately. So I guess how to understand like that philosophy.
See, when you read the Bhagavad Gita fully, and since we are blessed by only, we are fortunate to only read Bhagavad Gita as it is. I mean, you read other kinds of, nonsense, you get really confused. For instance, this verse that was quoted when HG Prabhu gave class, that Kangshantam karmana siddhim yajanti hiya devataha kshipram hi manusham loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. That there, if you just take that verse just by itself, you will think that Krishna is encouraging this. Kankshanta karmana siddhim. Those who want to achieve perfection
Quickly.
by performance of their duties. Those who are desirous of achieving perfection, Kankshanta karmana, through karmana, siddhim, achieve perfection. Yajanta iya devataha, they worship the different demigods that are described in the Vedas. And what does Krishna say? Kshipram hi manusham loke. Very quickly, Kshipram. Kshipram hi manusham loke. The people of this world, Kshipram, very quickly, manusham loke, siddhir bhavati karmaja. Karmaja, just by the performance of karma, ja, born. Karmaja, so you have different types of births. Swetaja, andaja, udbijaja, garbhaja, garbhodaja. So you have this. So the karmaja, siddhir bhavati karmaja. That simply by performing your karma, by performing your duty, siddhir bhavati, you will achieve perfection. Now people in the modern age, they have misinterpreted that to say whatever perfection you want, you will get it. It sounds like that. So it feels that Krishna is encouraging these things. Krishna is not encouraging. Why does Krishna say that? Because he's describing the way the Vedic process works and then criticizing it. But he's describing that nevertheless. And so the process is valid and it works. And it's very attractive. You're saying that, what's the point? But go ask, so for you, we may think that what's the point of earning millions and billions and billions and billions of dollars? What's the point? What's the point of accumulating so much money? Go tell that to someone who likes to accumulate money. How much people get entangled, they get money, then they take that, they invest it somewhere, they see it grow, they take that and invest it, see it grow, and they just get so engrossed in this, they completely lose themselves. The point is that when they become absorbed in these kind of things, it's so difficult to get them out of it. One property, another property, another property, another property, another property, by 40 properties, and keep flipping and then, investing and just going on and just seeing their wealth build. There's intoxication in this. So if you understand how intoxication works, then you can understand how this works. Because there are all different kinds of infatuations. Infatuation is what? Intoxication. Right? There's not too much of a difference there. There's some minor technical difference there. But they function sort of in a similar way. But the intoxication is like that. So you want to keep going. You don't want to stop. You don't know how to stop. And some of them can't stop to the last breath. And when you're too infatuated like this, you cannot pause to think what's the point. Because you're so absorbed in that activity. And it just never ends. Never ends. This is famously, I think it was they attributed to Rockefeller. Who knows what this?
Oh yeah, how much is?
How much money is enough?
It's a little bit.
Just a little more. Just a little more. Anything else?
I'm talking a little bit about piercing the nose of the bull. Yudhishthira Prabhu, who was disciple of Srila Prabhupada New Talavan, who Srila Prabhupada was pleased with his lifestyle at New Talavan in the 70s. He recounts how he had oxen and he was trying to control them, and Srila Prabhupada was passing by, and then the oxen kind of started trying to
Attack Prabhupada.
Yeah, charge at Prabhupada or something.
Yeah.
And Yudhishthira was really struggling to pull them back and restrain them. But anyways, obviously he ended up controlling his oxen. And Srila Prabhupada personally told him that you have to put a ring in their nose.
Yeah.
Personal account.
Interesting creatures, it's like there is a science where you become, if you're so expert, you're so related to the bulls, even without castrating them, you could get them plowing and you could get them do all these things. But it's like, it's like really high level stuff, and it shouldn't be imitated. And besides, right now in our society, we need to come up with a process that actually just works for anybody who starts trying it, rather than get hung up. Because I'm telling you, it's a big debate among these. There's very few devotees who care about cow protection, and then within those few, they get distracted with all this desi cow, and then
no castration.
No castration. You gotta let the calf drink all the milk, and and all this. It's so much silly things, and it's just I just feel like, I was just thinking the other day, I was like, wow, even the few devotees who are interested in cow protection, they just see the age of Kali is so powerful, get them fighting on what cow protection is, and you start fighting over that, and in that way, the cow protection project gets scuttled because they don't really put their heads together and sort of cooperate and try to get this going, and they have differences, and then you can't do cow protection if you don't really come together. It's impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really brief. Even it's described when Lord Brahma took the cowherd boys, and then that whole pastime, over the course of that year when Krishna had expanded himself into the boys and the calves. Anyways, the cows were kept separate from the cows, so they wouldn't drink all the milk.
Wouldn't drink all the milk.
Yeah, and of course, and then they had gotten free from the cowherd men. But anyways, it's I'm surprised that he would have that conception. So.
It's ridiculous. There's devotees saying, "Oh no, you don't castrate the bull, and then you just let the bull hang around the cows." First of all, so there's one problem, is that the population is going to explode. Second problem is you actually have inbreeding, which is really bad, because what you end up getting is you have the same problem, like incest. So you have that problem over there too, and what you end up getting is, cows and bulls that are born with defects and deformities. And so, it's a little bit of common sense. Anyways.
Far out.